Human Anastasia. I'm gonna put my headphones in too in a second.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Share this to a couple of groups. Global. Awesome. Do you see it on there on Facebook?
I'm sorry, my computer's a bit slow just because I had a whole bunch of windows open, so I've closed everything and I'm about to go on.
Story of my life. and until you don't realize how many you have until your computer starts to slow down and you're like, oh my gosh.
Exactly. So let's see. Noel.
You're about to sing my song, I hear you.
I bet you get that a lot.
I love it now. When I was a kid, I despised that song because I went to a school where around holiday time we would sing that in like assemblies, and all the kids in the whole 1,000 kids would turn and like find me in the audience. And as a 7-year-old, you're not ready for that type of attention. At least I wasn't.
I know. So I just go share, right?
Yeah.
Share and amplify. Oops. Share. How do I share on my page?
So I just tagged you in it, so you could even let it go onto your timeline if you want to.
Yeah, Can I have it everywhere? I just want to put it everywhere. Why not?
Do it.
Okay, successfully shared on my business page. I'm going to put it on my personal page as well. Ready?
Let's do it. All right, last bit of technology, everyone. We're going to give the Instagram world a chance to see this as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh. Angel of Abundance is live.
All right. Hey, Instagram. Getting ready to do a live Enlightened Conversations with awesome Anastasia. Your handle on Instagram is, tell me again, Anastasia?
Let's have aligned living.
Oh, I see you.
Live Enlightened Conversations with awesome Anastasia.
Aligned.
Your handle on Instagram is, tell me again. Oh, I see.
Cool. All right. Okay, so as soon as you join on Instagram, let's mute our computers and then we'll start.
Oh.
Hello. Oh, just dropped it. Okay. I'll probably just my view will probably be in the computer mostly, but I will look down at the Instagram, so I'll see if you guys ask questions on here. Can you hear me on your phone, Anastasia?
I can hear you perfectly.
Awesome.
So I'm going according to the Insta Live because there's a bit of a lag from the desktop. So I've muted the desktop and I'm just on Instagram.
Perfect. No, we're good. I'm doing the same. All right, let's begin, everyone. This is going to be fun.
It's going to be awesome.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Really excited for today and have an awesome guest with us that we've already been vibing prior to coming to play with you guys today. And she's out in London, the United Kingdom, and Just awesome energy. I came across her Instagram page not too long ago. I don't even think it was a few weeks ago, maybe a week ago, at some point in the last past. And I saw the vibes that she was sharing with her audience and reached out to her and asked her if she wanted to come have a fun conversation with me today. And so she obliged, and that is what we are going to do right now. So we have Anastasia Gerali with us, who is a therapist and an embodiment mentor, and just all around awesome human, I think is a really good title for her. And so I want to introduce you guys to Anastasia, and if you could share with the audience so they're more familiar with you, who you are, what you do, why you do it, all these good things.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. Yeah, who I am is Anastasia Gerali. I am a rapid transformation therapist and a embodiment coach. So my vision, my mission is to help people stop self-sabotaging, upgrade, update, release, rewrite the subconscious mindset that keeps them from reaching their full limitless potential.
I love it. I love it so much. Limitless potential is what I want everyone to know right off the bat, that we all have and that we all are. And we live in the world of possibility. And when we realize that, we have universal truths and then everything else is possibility. And I just get really excited when that light bulb comes on for any of us, because then it becomes more a matter of less comparison or less asking, like the self-sabotage when you just mentioned that. When I think of that, I think about people questioning their own worthiness. Like, am I enough? And when you don't think that you're enough or you're questioning your worthiness, a lot of times we do self-sabotage. And when you know who you truly are, then there's no more of that. It's just, ooh, what do I like to see in my life? What would I like to see for humanity? And we can go on that mission from there. So what I like to ask right off the bat, because I already know that the vibes are already high and we're going to play at this high vibe place. And I want to humanize both of us, specifically because I know that all of us, Anastasia, we come here as little unconditional, loving little babies. And for most of us, we forget who we truly are along the way, start comparing ourselves, wondering why that kid is taller than us, or why their hair looks different than ours, or whatever it might be for you out there, why they got the answer to that math problem and you didn't. And so that begins like the forgetting process. And then it's always my hope that we can remember who we truly are at some point along the journey. And so we can live how we were just describing. So for you, did you go from unconditional loving little baby and never forget, and you just evolved into this beautiful being that we see here and now? Or was it a different path for you?
Oh my God, I wish, because I would have been glowing and shining and burning my whole life. No, I think every single one of us forgets. And it's not our fault, it's no one's fault. That just is the human experience, right? We have a soul contract, so we come into this beautiful world having signed up for certain lessons that we need to learn in order to help us grow and evolve and transcend. And the forgetting is part of that necessary process. So yeah, I forgot. I'm sad to say that I forgot for a very long time who I was meant to be, and I was completely pursuing a life that on the out looked right. Okay, I had everything. I had a business, married, I had my own business, I was pursuing my dream, my passion, I had a fashion brand, but it didn't feel right. It didn't feel good. And my relationship felt like hard work. My business felt like hard work. Money was easy, but keeping it was difficult. Keeping it was hard work. And my health felt like hard work. So I was completely out of alignment in terms of the way that I was running my business. It was very much in my masculine energy, because that's how the textbooks said I was to do it. And it felt like a hustle. Entrepreneur, well, the hustle is kind of like glorified. Hustle hard 24/7, make sacrifices for your business. So I was living that. And I sacrificed my health. I sacrificed my social life. I sacrificed even to a certain extent, my personality in order to fit into this otherwise, book perfect life. But there was something that told me that this doesn't feel right. And at the time, it felt like depression. so I just felt like I was going under a lot of pressure. I was under anxiety, and I struggled with depression throughout all my 20s. And it wasn't really until, from juggling so many balls, until I dropped one ball, and that was my health, that completely crashed and burned as I suffered burnout, that my business collapsed because it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't sustainably built. And that then my relationship collapsed and my marriage did. So I felt really, really quite public. I was so humiliated because my business failed. The business, everyone knew that everyone was like going on and on about like, oh, Anastasia, she's doing her thing. Friends were employees, so I felt very, very alone in my pursuit of my passion. And yeah, so this business that everyone knew and everyone spoke about suddenly disappeared overnight. My relationship, which on the outside looked perfect, collapsed, and yeah, that felt like I'd failed, not just as a businessman and a woman. I failed at being lovable. I failed at being loved. So it very, very much felt like I failed at life. And my point was really a few months into sort of a dark, very, very dark period of feeling sorry for myself, of being a victim in this story that I created, and feeling lost and confused and rejected, because on paper I'd done everything right. On paper I ticked all the boxes. So why didn't the outcome look the way that it's supposed to look if you tick all the boxes? And yeah, my mother, my aim really, because it was during that period of my life, I was really considering my options as to how I could end my life, because if I'd done everything right and I'd failed, I didn't understand, or I didn't see how I could do things differently in order to get a different outcome. And that was like me totally in my victim drama archetype, like absolutely becoming a professional victim. And yeah, just feeling sorry for myself and really just considering, what's the easiest way that I can end it that isn't going to leave too much of a fuss or too much of a for other people to come clean up after me. Because I was considering my mother at that point, because she was the only one that for me. She was the only one that was calling me. She was the only one that was checking, seeing if I was still, alive or eating. And my mother was going through her own problems with my dad. My dad was schizophrenic, so I couldn't stay with them after my divorce because they had their own marital problems and they just couldn't support me mentally. So yeah, I felt abandoned, completely abandoned, and self-absorbed in my own problems. And my mother just, having reached limits as to how much on in her life, as well as worry about her daughter, she just said to me in a phone call where I was like sobbing and feeling sorry for myself, when are you going to use this energy to pick your life up rather than crying about the things that didn't work out? And that triggered me because I wasn't ready to hear it, right? You're never ready to hear the truth, particularly when you're so self-absorbed in your truth. And I hung up, I wasn't ready to hear that, and I didn't know why she didn't see why my life was difficult and so hard and why she didn't sympathize with me. And really in a shower after that conversation that I was crying and tears were streaming down, that I think an angel definitely touched me and gave the light, if you will, to potentially try do things differently. And I just promised myself that I had to look for an easy way of being, because the way that I was living just didn't feel easy. And I knew that there was an easier way because I could see evidence all around me. I could see people all around me living an easier life, having an easier relationship, growing their business easier. So obviously the form that I was using just wasn't an easy one. And I promised myself on that day that I would do what to just find a different formula. And if all else fails, there's always plan B. Like, I already knew what my plan B was. I already knew how I would end my life. And I was like, I've got nothing to lose. I've got debt. You know, I don't have a husband. I don't have a relationship. I don't have anyone here. So there's really nothing left to lose. You know, potentially everything to gain. And yeah, that was my turn. That was the start of my healing journey, because it was really about healing from the inside out. And one by one, those beautiful synchronicities, those beautiful teachers, beautiful people came into my life at the right time, when I was in the right space and place to hear the message.
Let me jump in here, Anastasia, because you just said so many beautiful things, and thank you for sharing your story. I'm going to join you here on this. Let's look in the computer. I'm going to talk to you guys on Facebook world as well. The reason why Anastasia is looking down the whole time, because she's talking to the people on Instagram. So just FYI for you guys out there, we're going to join you guys here, because you said so many beautiful things, and thank you for sharing, because you share so many parts of the human experience that I know people out there can resonate with, and maybe are experiencing parts of them right now. And what you said is so important, because I knew what was coming, and I didn't know specifically how it was coming, and that is just a really example for all of our lives. Like, we came here as human beings, because you mentioned right at the beginning our soul contracts, and we came here because our souls were going to evolve by being physical here in this 3D world that we're living in. So every life experience that we have is allowing our souls to evolve. Now, how we experience the evolution, whether we experience it in joy or we experience it in fear, doubt, worry, frustration, anger, rage, powerless, depressed, there's no right or wrong way to experience it. How we experience it, though, is optional, for us. I just love how Anastasia described as she got to the point where she was thinking about ending her life. And then there was a point where mom triggered her. And then there was a releasing of, an openness to, there has to be another way. There has to be a better way. And if there isn't, then so be it. Like, I'm ready to go anyways. So in that moment, if you look at what she did, this is such a great example of how to manifest out there whatever it is that you desire. Because you can ask the question of the universe, of God, of all that is, source, spirit, whatever it is that you resonate with out there. And if you just release the answer coming, like how it's going to come, when it's going to come, like that real rigid attachment to, I need this answer right now, or else I'm not going to be happy, or else this is going to happen. That release is what allows the answers to come. And then Anastasia described synchronicities that started showing up, which, if we think about it, life is just one ongoing synchronicity. We can't predict any of this stuff, like where we're going to have, new awareness, new consciousness come from, who it's going to come from, when it's going to come, where it's going to come from, what moment in life. And so it's just a beautiful example that you just described, because if we can have the questions that we want to ask as far as how these different areas of our life can evolve, and then release the how it's going to happen, when, who it's going to come from, all these things that typically just make us anxious, that's when the answers will find us synchronistically. And then life from there, as we see how that process works and that light bulb comes back on, now it's just an ongoing process forever, because that will never end. We'll always have more consciousness, more awareness, and it can come anytime, anywhere, from anyone. And it's beautiful when we get to that point as human beings, because then life can just be a fun journey. It doesn't have to be so, I need this answer right now, or else I'm not going to be happy. So I love how you describe that. It's so beautiful what you described.
And more than anything, I think something that for me completely changed my human experience was higher self-connection, was learning how to lean in to my internal guidance, which is available to absolutely everyone. That is your direct line to source, to God, to the universe, whatever entity you wish to label that as. It represents one and the same thing, is unconditional love. When I can learn to connect and to generate unconditional love from within and fill my own cup, then every side becomes irrelevant. Like, I'm no longer looking for external validation. I'm no longer looking to fill my cup from the outside in, because and that's very much what my beta life was about. It was about ticking the boxes, right? It was about filling my life from the outside in. And it didn't feel good, because what I didn't understand time was that I, as a vessel, was cracked. And when you have a vessel that's cracked, you're leaking. So no amount of filling, you won't be able to reach the limit because you're leaking. And it's when you learn how to generate love, abundance, wealth, any experience that you are trying to manifest for yourself on the outside, when you learn to become one with the inside out, through higher self-connection, through connecting to your internal guidance, God, that you can then live from a place of overflow.
Absolutely. I love where we're transitioning to now. This is my favorite thing to know about life. And I say a lot of favorite things. This is definitely one of them, for sure. Because I, at one point, and like I'll humanize myself, and I like to share this as much as possible, like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, 12 years ago, a decade ago, I was probably the best in the world at using the external things to make me feel good on the inside. Like it was always, I'll be happy when I accomplish this, or I'll be happy when I have this, or this relationship, or whatever it is. It was all external. And what that caused in the present moment was a lot of like ups and downs, because, if I had a good day at work, then, I would be happy for a small amount of time. And if I didn't have such a good day, then I wouldn't be happy. And it was always external. And until I realized what Anastasia just described, that, what we see in the external actually is reflecting from what's going on, what's vibrating in the present moment on the internal. And, everything that we want in the external anyways, if we think about it, like, why do we want any of this stuff? It's because, when I have that relationship, I'll be super happy. When I have this amount of money, I'll be super happy. When I can go to this part of the world and have a vacation here, I'll be super happy. So if it's all because we feel like we'll be super happy, and we can manifest being super happy right now just by choice we don't need a reason externally to be that, then we actually get to manifest those experiences. And what I've learned over time is when we do experience all these things and we were already happy before we had the experience, it manifests much quicker. And it just, because we're in the flow we're connected with source, we're connected with the universe, with God, with all that is. And, now we're in tune with the synchronicities. We can hear the good ideas. We can meet the person that we need to meet, or whatever the case may be. But also when we go experience those things in the external, now we get to enjoy them way more, because we already brought this energy of connection to the experience. And now we really get to truly be there, truly be present. And it could be so much fun. So I love that you said that. I love the transition.
And I just want to touch back on what you said, the ups and downs. When you are not capable of or you don't know how, you don't have this to regulate yourself, your life is going to feel like an up and down roller coaster. And for me, I love metaphors. So this is how I describe it, because it helps me make sense of it and helps me to describe it to my clients so that they can picture it as well. Picture an empty cup. There's more empty space, right? When there's more empty space, that's when those external experiences, challenges, adversities, gifts, whatever, is pulling you up and down in that space. When I am filled from the inside to the brim, there's a lot less wiggle room. So I choose what I fill my cup with, and then I live from overflow. And when I live from overflow, I can be so intentional about what I am giving, consciously giving, and then consciously receiving. I'm one with my desires. And you can't become whole by only feeling half your feelings. So I don't subscribe to the whole only BS that doesn't exist. You need to be able to feel all of your feelings, right? Because that makes you human. But when I become a vessel that is filled with unconditional love from the bottom to the top, then I can allow any other feelings, emotions, any other experiences to pass to me and through me without being consumed by them.
Absolutely. That what Anastasia just said right there at the end is the part that I love knowing, because when we're aware of this different, because we label energy like in 2020 and beyond, like the words that we use when we're saying good vibes, or we're saying happy or sad or frustrated or worried or depressed. These are just human labels. We're using language to label energy, it's frequency that in 2020 and beyond can actually be measured scientifically. Like I've been to events where I've seen the energy measured from my brain, from my heart, the energy of the room. Like it's just, we're at an awesome place in science. So it's not just like when you're hearing someone talking about energy and frequency and vibes, like those aren't just like woo-woo things. Like this, we can actually measure this now. And so my point is, like, if we're aware of what my present moment, because it doesn't matter what you were an hour ago or what you'll be tomorrow, we can only measure like our energy like in the moment now. Like we're always, and it's always right now. And so just being mindful of that, not making yourself wrong if right now maybe you're frustrated or you're worried or upset about something. If you're mindful of it though, it doesn't have to overtake your life for that day. You don't have to stay in that experience like ongoing. Like for so many of us, and I've been here for sure, before being aware of a frequency and before it mattered to me, because once you're aware of it, now you have a choice. And that's why I do everything, Anastasia, because I just like to help people have the power of choice. What you choose is totally up to you. For me, once I was aware of it, it's the most important part of my life. Like nothing matters to me more than what's my vibe right now in this moment. And I'm human too. So if I see something that is going on in the world, for instance, where it's like, ooh, like all of us would agree that's very rough to look at, in the present moment, whether it be virus or injustice or whatever it is. However, I'm looking at something that I know just through wisdom and through life, that I'm looking at something that there's already energy put into whatever this is that physically manifested. And so I'm looking at something that has already physically manifested, and none of us have the power on earth to take something already physically manifested and unmanifested. Like take it back, like go back in time. Like I've never met anyone. If you guys have met someone that can do that, introduce them. Like I need to talk to them and we need to have more conversation about this. Since that doesn't really exist, our only option then is asking ourselves, okay, I've had this experience in my life. It's challenging, like it's rough, like it was, you don't have to like push it away or try to push it down. Like it just, you notice the experience, you notice the energy that you're in. Now my choice is, what would I like to see in life? Where would I like my energy to be? What would I like to create from here? And for those of us that put our attention on that, we can manifest anything that we want in this life. And we're talking about, the process of doing that now. So I love that you mentioned that. I'm not the good vibes only. However, it does matter to me a lot. And when you practice anything long enough, you become very good at it. Like I wake up super grateful.
Exactly. It becomes your default setting, right? It's like, unfortunately, it's like when we're saying, oh, I love Fridays, I hate Mondays. That becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We're always going to be hard. Mondays are always, and you wake up, groggy and moody. And Fridays, you're always going to end the day like full of energy, looking forward to the weekend. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I love what you said about, what Gerali has manifested. And I do just want to point out that everything that's happened or is happening, when you are healing, right, the symptoms look as if you're getting sicker before you get better. So the body will create a fever, diarrhea, vomiting, inflammation, bleeding. It'll look like you're getting worse, but those are all symptoms of the body trying to fight the disease, so trying to heal itself. And I think that everything that's manifested this year, it has been labeled as bad, is a really, really positive sign, because Earth is healing herself. We, humanity, are healing ourselves. So how, like you said, how do I now show up, right? How do I become part of solution rather than focusing on the symptom, which looks like the problem? Because it's very much understanding the word ego, Greek, ego is I. The ego is separating me from everything and everyone. And it's quite selfish to be egotistical, because all you're doing about yourself. How does this impact? How does this affect my life? Me. And what are you when you're talking about yourself? You are the victim, right? When you are connected, when you recognize that I am a link in this world, I am a link in this community, I am a link in this society. So how can I be a strong link rather than a weak link? How can I lead through love rather than lead through fear? And that is something that I prayed long and hard, looking at this as well. And I was scared, I was confused, terrified about the direction that it in. With the fires in Australia, with coronavirus, with injustice that happened in America, and that's now rippled across the world. I was like, 2020 was supposed to be a good year, you know? And I had to step back, because when you're too close to the chaos, all you see is chaos and madness and nothing makes sense. When you zoom out, and you zoom out and zoom out and zoom out far enough, you see the purpose. You can only connect the dots you can't connect the dots looking forward. And once I recognize the symptoms of Earth herself, of society itself, of us moving to a higher vibration, it's like, yes, how can I contribute to that? How can I be part of the change that I want to create in this world?
Absolutely.
And that's when we talk about oneness. Like, embodiment isn't just about being in your own body. It's taking responsibility for yourself, yes, for your healing journey, because if I myself, my life changes, and if we heal, then the world changes.
Absolutely. I love it. So beautifully said. And let's touch on symptoms for a second, because I love this. When we start talking about symptoms, we also can talk about bringing all the power back to us, because a lot of times we ignore symptoms, and symptoms will get stronger the more that we ignore them. And so symptoms are really good indicators for all of us. If we're talking about like health symptoms, they're really good indicators. And next time any of you out there experience a symptom, I invite you to ask yourself, how's your vibration? How's your energy been leading up to that symptom? Just ask yourself, not making yourself right or wrong for it, not regardless of what's going on in the world, like asking yourself. And you'll probably notice, because when I started asking myself this, I started to notice the only time I really had symptoms show up, whether it be sore throat or coughing or headache or any of these things, is when my vibe was a little bit off, a little bit stressed, a little bit worried, a little bit. And because of noticing that, and because of my vibration mattering to me, now the symptom doesn't have to turn into a full out illness. It doesn't have to. Because if you see it at the beginning and take that and you can appreciate it, saying, oh, this is showing me something, like, let me pay attention to my vibe now. Now your body can go back to being well. And that's the natural state that our body wants to live in. Every second that we're alive, our body produces a few million brand new cells. And those cells will be wellness cells if you're in the vibration of wellness, which is connected to who you truly are. And so if this matters to you, I haven't been sick, not even a common cold, in over 7 years now. So when we start talking about illness and virus and all these things, it's not something that, if I'm vibrating in the energy of well-being most of the time, that's not a part of my life. So I speak about these things like because I always have to talk about something that's relevant. I see it, as well, just like all the rest of, humanity. And so I'll speak my truth when it comes to this. And you mentioned this inside of what you just shared as well. Like, the stories that we're telling, what we're speaking out, like, are also really great indicators of how you're vibrating. Because if you find yourself speaking words about anything, that's what's been festering, that's what in your thoughts. And the only reason that you're having these thoughts is because your thoughts are matched to the vibration that you're in the moment. None of us are ever going to have a happy thought if we're vibrating in an energy of depressed in that moment, or angry or rage. Like, you're not just thinking all these happy, blissful thoughts in those moments, and vice versa. And so it's a really great indicator if you find yourself saying something to someone or to yourself that you're like, ooh, that was kind of harsh. Like, I don't like that. Great indicator of where your vibration, where your energy has been leading up to the manifestation of those words. And then it's up to you. If you start to notice it, you can allow momentum to keep going, and frustration can turn into anger or rage, which it causes a whole other set of synchronistic events in your life in those moments. The parts on the movie screen where you're like, whoo, that's a dramatic scene. I hope that character makes it out of this scene alive, because if we're choosing to live through life in rage, what are you going to manifest as a result of that? What's going to reflect out? So yeah. I love that you mentioned that, indicators, and obviously the symptoms of what we see humanity collectively. Also, Mother Earth, wanting to say, hey, humans, people say we're going to ruin the Earth. I was like, well, I think the Earth is going to be okay. But if we don't change things, it might kick us off. It might spit us out of here. We need some new humans to embody this place.
And the thing is, like, Earth was designed to resilience. She goes winter where everything is and looks like it's dead, and then she rebirths spring and summer every single year. The sun rises every day, whether you want it to or not. And your body was designed in exactly the same way. Your body was designed to live. So the only thing that's keep from truly expanding is the gray matter. The gray. And when I talk about, like pursuing your purpose, the gray area, it's a hell yes or a hell no. If I say yes, but I've essentially negated the yes. People themselves all the time. You spoke about language. We say words every single day that your body feels, because every word has vibration, right? If I'm happy but, or I'll be happy when there, happiness is constantly pinned onto a certain outcome or onto a certain person. I have completely disembodied and disconnected from this thing here that is trying to keep alive and to thrive. And I've gone into survival mode. And when I'm in my survival mode, there's no way that I can survive. There's no way that I can thrive. There's no way that I can call in all those beautiful, juicy desires that I have for my life. And if you desire for something, then for me, that is a clear indication from God, from the divine yourself, that you have been shown that you are capable of achieving. They're not dreams. Dreams is the wrong word. They are your potential. If you can dream something, Bob practices, if you can hold it in your mind, then you can hold it in your hand. It's that simple. If you've been given a vision, a dream, a desire for something, that's a clear indication of your potential. Should choose to rise up to meet it where it's at, because it's not going to come down to you.
I love this part of life, Anastasia. This is my favorite thing to talk about. You guys will always hear me saying how much I root for humanity and just root for every single person to, most importantly, be conscious and know who they truly are. And once you know who you truly are, then it's like when you know that you have this limitless potential. And I love what you just said as far as, instead of dreams, like it's just our potential, because it's so true. Like you wouldn't have the desire if you can't go out there and fulfill the desire. Like you have the power that created everything that you see around you, physically manifested, that same energy. That's you. You're just a different fractal of that. You're just a different expression of that embodied in a physical avatar. So if you see anybody doing anything, we're like, that's awesome. That's awesome. Just know that the same energy that helped them create that is what is at your fingertips as well. That's you. So that's the consciousness point. And then from there, it's just asking yourself, what is it that I would like to create in my life? What is it that I would like to create in humanity? And you mentioned earlier in this conversation about, just the questions that we ask. You didn't say it specifically, but I wanted to point this out because we can ask, when you're talking about ego, we can ask I questions, I. Nothing wrong with these questions. I invite everybody out there to incorporate also some we questions. Because when we start asking we questions to the universe on how can we thrive, how can we come together, how can we be abundant, how can we be free, how can we enjoy life, how can we create the environment that we want, how can we create the education that we want, how can we, whatever it is, the answers that you receive from these questions are awesome. Because you have, not only do you have the entire power of the universe, now you're bringing in more for the whole, more for the collective, which you're so supported when you want to bring in more for the collective, because that's why we're all here. It's just to expand all that is. So I love what you said so much, and that's why I root for people so hard, because I want you to know who you are, and then I want to help you. I want to participate with you. I want you to create whatever it is that you're here to create, because that's going to not only be awesome and be fulfilling for you, but me and Anastasia and all the rest of us get to enjoy whatever you create as well. You'll create another experience or a food or a technology or whatever. We all get to experience that, and it just adds to all that is. And that's why we're all here. So I love it so much.
And this is really when people start thinking the we and not the I, that those are the people that are purpose driven, right? So it's no longer pursuing a passion, it's pursuing a mission, a purpose. And sorry, let me rephrase, because I believe our purpose is one and the same for everyone. It's to reach your highest, fullest potential. That is our purpose. That is God's gift to you just by giving life. Your purpose is now to make the most of that life to your fullest, highest potential. So if you've been given a vision and a mission that is inclusive of more people than just yourself, than just the I, the ego, we're talking about creating a movement, right? And this is like this mission and vision is to change the lives of 1 million people. And that was something that just like dropped out where I was like, huh, okay, cool, that sounds cool, that feels good on me, right? And that is something that came from the inside out. It's not something that I saw anyone do. It's not something that I compared myself to have the ability to do that, because if I do that, then I'm like, oh, no, there's no way that one little can do this big thing. And that's me contracting rather than expanding. So the more I expand, the more people I can encompass in my life. And I don't know if you've heard the 100th monkey effect.
Explain. I think I know what you're saying, but.
So, the 100th monkey effect is a study that they did, I believe it was in the 70s, I might be wrong, it might be older than that, in some Japanese islands where they were throwing sweet potatoes on the beach for these wild monkeys to test kind of how they respond to them. It's a new vegetable to them, and the monkeys liked the sweet potatoes, but they didn't like that they were always full of sand. So they would start to eat it, and then they'd spit it out because they didn't like sand. And it took one monkey to take it to the water, to rinse it and wash it, to then be able to eat it, to figure out that, oh, this is how we can eat potatoes. And she then taught, because that's how monkeys learn, by teaching each other. She then taught some of the other elders how to clean the potatoes and wash the potatoes, and then they went and taught the younger monkeys, and then the younger monkeys, and the younger monkeys. And they said that there's a critical number, like once any experiment, once it reaches a critical number, in this case it was the 100th monkey. Once the 100th monkey had learned how to wash the potato, then this new habit spread to monkeys that hadn't been taught, and it spread across islands to other monkeys that had never been taught, because that is the power of the collective mind. So if you have a vision and a mission to change the lives of the first 100, the first 1,000, the first 10,000, the first 1 million people, it's a ripple effect. You're not just changing their lives, you're rippling down not just into the lives of their children, their communities, their countries, their culture, you're also rippling down into future generations' lives and potential.
I love that. I love that example so much. I have heard that 100 monkey effect, and I always thought it was fascinating how just what you mentioned, the collective consciousness, how it jumped islands and, to where it was like, it wasn't like you had to teach manually each one. I always found that fascinating. And, there's examples that I've heard where, you can have an awesome idea for something that, is part of, what you're going to create while you're here. And, there's humans that are in the same, vibrational frequency that are having similar ideas in parts of the world where people, at very similar times are having ideas. And the cool thing is, like, we can now, with technology, we can come together and help each other. Like for me, like everything that I'm doing, like everybody on the planet is invited to co-create with me. And at the same time, I don't know what corner of the globe, like, it's going to spread to next, just what we talked about. Like, and I don't have to know that. Like, that's not my work to. The cool thing to know is, like, as we're embodying the energy, the frequency of these visions, of these things that we want to be and do and have here in this life, the universe can put that, an idea to reach out to Anastasia or to Noel, like, in so many different ways. Like, they could just be, and with social media, it's so easy. I mean, it was easy before that, but like, they could just have an idea to go log into Instagram, and then they see someone who sees someone, and now they're on my page, and now they're reaching out to me, and now they're a part. Like, I don't have to figure out all the details. None of us do. And it's such a beautiful part of creating. It just makes it so simple. It actually resonates with a couple questions that are on here. I see yours, M. Russia. We'll answer that. And then up here, Duja had a question too. Also, both good questions. I'm going to pause for 1 second. And I don't even have to get up. I'm going to get my cord from my computer so I don't run out of battery. I see it here. It just alerted me. We are all good now. Awesome. Let's ask a couple of these questions. You cool with that, Anastasia? I think these are both good. I'm going to ask you. You can answer this one first. Duja said, how do we block or not absorb the negative energy of other people that we are surrounded with? I already know where Anastasia is going to start with this.
You know this answer, girl.
I already know where you're
You know
starting with
this
this.
answer. She's familiar with my work. So that is a very, very clear indication of an empty cup, right? Of space in that. Therefore, other people's vibes can enter your cup and therefore pull you out of your cup. If you are embodied fully, there's nothing and no one that can pull you out of your cup without your permission. When you are being pulled out of your cup, your body, and into your ego, like picking up of other people's vibes, picking up of other people's dramas, then that is a very, very clear indication of you not being able to regulate yourself. That's feedback, that's a good thing. It means that there is room and potential for me to grow, that there is room and potential for me here to become a stronger vessel, to fill my cup more. So it's feedback, it's good. Everything, our triggers are always feedback. They're never a bad thing, because that is, yes, potential to grow, potential to heal, potential to rewrite some of the stories that I am reflected in me and in this person and in this interaction.
I love it. I like to say, Anastasia, the fact that we're even asking the question is a clear indicator that you are aware that this is happening in your life, which now you have your power, because now you have a choice to, to allow yourself to evolve. So, yeah, there's so many people that aren't asking the question. So you're blindly having this happening in your life. And here's something that you'll, what Anastasia was just saying, that you can take with you. Because say we enter a room and, we are the frequency that we enter the room in, or it could be a conversation. Anytime you're interacting with another human being, this is a really good way to just something to be aware of. So your options are, say you're in an energy of, you're just at peace, you're happy, you're something that feels good, whatever it is. And say you enter a room or a conversation with someone that right now is like frustrated or worried, or, what you would say, what you're describing as, negative energy. Not to label it good or bad or right or wrong, but just, say they're just frustrated and you're feeling happy. Here's what will happen in that situation. You will either pull them up to where you are, to where they're going to want to come play with you, because if your energy matters to you and you're aware of this, then you're going to, one of the best definitions that I've ever heard of compassion is being able to maintain your frequency, even if you're seeing or you're experiencing someone that maybe might not be experiencing life in this moment as maybe they would like to. Maybe they are frustrated, maybe they are angry. Because you're just maintaining your peace and your love for them, you can have insight to share with them, or just embody that energy to where that's the best version of compassion that we can give to another human being. And so they're either going to play with you up here, or, which I highly recommend, what you're kind of describing with this question, which we've all done it, is we could use them as a reason to go play down there with where they are. Where it's like, I was in such a good mood before you came around, and like your energy is like always negative, and like you're raining on my parade. And so now we're in the blaming frequency. So just know that anytime we're pointing at someone, regardless if we're pointing out the awesomeness in them, or we're pointing out, condemning them or criticizing them, wherever we're pointing, that's where our energy is moving towards every single time. So we're blaming, just know your energy is going there. It has nothing to do with them. No one can take our energy from us. Like, it's up to us where we want to put our energy, and then our focus and our attention and our story that we're telling about it will create momentum. And, it's just great to know. So pull them up to you. Like for me, if you want to hang out with me, especially since my vibe is what's most important to me, you're either going to play with me here or neither of us are going to want to hang out with each other right now, and it's all good. I can still have compassion. I can still, share love with you. And then when we're ready to come play back here in the place of peace, I'm here. I'm ready to play.
Exactly. And that's really where I talk about having like strong, healthy, loving boundaries, right? Knowing, recognizing what my standards are, what's set for other people, but more importantly, upholding those standards for myself, right? If I keep upholding myself, then yeah, I'm going to keep getting pulled out of my body and keep getting pulled down to standards that I've tried to let go of, I've tried to elevate myself from. So whatever standards you expect from other people, make sure that you're maintaining them for yourself as well.
Absolutely. I'm going to give one more bit of advice on this, because this is very important. All of us have relationships in our life that have been in our life for a significant period of time, maybe family member, maybe friend. And when we're around humans enough and we have enough life experience, you start having a practice way of being with them. Like maybe you have found yourself in a gossiping circle, and just be mindful of it. That every time I'm in this group, like I start to gossip, and how does that feel when you're criticizing or condemning? Like it doesn't feel so good. So if you can be mindful of it and just know, okay, I have these relationships. I'm not telling you to get rid of the relationships, but if you can be mindful of your energy, like the relationships that I've had in my life since I've become aware of what I'm describing now, that have been a little bit more challenging. Maybe for a time they look at life as glass half empty, like to complain a lot. It's not that they're bad people. Just as human beings, we think on average 70,000 thoughts per day. And by the time we turn 30, they've done studies where almost 90% of our thoughts have become habitual, where we're thinking the same, we're vibrating the same way that we were yesterday. So that's not likely to change between today and tomorrow. So if you know that you've had maybe a challenging relationship and maybe you get a phone call from them, or maybe you need to have a conversation with them, or maybe they're in the same household as you, very challenging. The best advice that I can give is, for me, like I want my energy not to just be that blah energy where it's like, I'm okay, I'm good, like I'm not happy, I'm not sad, but I'm just whatever. That's a little bit too close to where anything can trigger you to where now I'm down and I'm irritated by you. It's a little bit too close for me, too close for comfort. So what I like to do when there's relationships that I have with human beings that maybe we have a practice energy where it can be a little bit confrontational at times in the past, I like to be like playful. I like to be like excited. I like my vibe to be really, really on point. To where when I'm going into an interaction with them, again, their choices are either play with me here or we'll just communicate when we can play with each other here. And I've had people tell me before, Noel, you're way too much for me right now. Like I can't talk to you right now. All good. Like let's connect later. Like it's all good. Like I'm not joining you in the let's gossip, let's condemn, let's criticize. I'm not willing to live life there. That's not me. So just good advice for you guys. Just maybe you have to be a little bit more, like maybe you need to meditate, or maybe you need to listen to some music, or go out in nature, or do some breath work, or whatever it is for you to where your vibes are like, okay, now I'm gonna make that call. Now I feel good. Let me go here, and just make it important to you.
Like be conscious of what you're contributing in this interaction, right? Because you are 50% of this experience. You are 50% of this interaction. So become about what your 50% looks like. You can't change someone. You can't expect them to respond differently. But you are always 100% responsible for the way that you respond, for the way that you show up.
I'm going to say, just from the last sentence, I'm going to say you're 100% of this interaction. I'm not even giving you the wiggle room of 50%. Like your vibe like is so much more powerful when you're connected with who you truly are than anyone out there that's not. Like when we're not, like we're living just a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of our true potential, of our true power. And when we are, like we're unlimited power. Like that's just who we truly are. So you never have to worry about anyone like being overpowering your energy. It can't happen. Like you're way more powerful in those moments than, and you can be that beacon of light, because the best of the way that we can help anybody is by our example anyway. So by you being the light, choosing to live, to be who you truly are, like you're making such an impact on everybody around you without even needing to use words. Like it's so powerful. So I love it so much. Let's ask one more. There's another question here. If you guys have questions, I suggest you put them, because the way that Anastasia answered that was so powerful. And okay, so M. Russia says, how to continue striving, grinding towards dreams. The word grinding already is like that word doesn't resonate with me as much. But I'll let you go.
So say that again. How to continue grinding towards?
How to continue striving, grinding towards dreams.
Okay. Consistency. Number one, forget the grind. So lead with heart, right? I don't believe in the grind and just the language. Oh my gosh, just the language just sends like shivers down my spine. I believe in showing up for myself. So it's consistency. So where am I being consistent? My actions, my daily actions, my thoughts, my daily thoughts. What are my words, my daily words? How can I level up to meet my purpose, my passion, my vision, where it's at? That requires me to let go of my past identity. That requires me, and healing is such an important part of my work. If you haven't healed, then you're gonna keep. It's like sliding down the hill, and it does feel like a grind, a hustle, an uphill struggle, right? If it feels like a struggle, then there probably is weight or baggage that you need to release. That is pulling you back. And believe it or not, I know that it boggles the mind, but it takes just as much energy to hold on to that baggage as it does to release it. It's just that you've become more practiced and more skilled at holding on to it. Because like you said, those are the same thoughts and patterns that you've had for decades and decades and decades before you decided to level up. So if you want to level up, it requires you letting go of anything that no longer serves me. And yes, that does mean letting go of the old Anastasia, of the old Noel, the old Arusha, the old Duja, like whoever you thought you were or what your entity was, your knowledge and your experience was that amount is or X. Now, for you to become ABC, you need to let go of X, Y, Z and surrender. And the only reason that surrendering and healing feels like hard work is just because holding on to your past pain, trauma, and dramas has become your natural state. But you can't run a 2020 program on a 1984. You can't run new software on old hardware. But it really does require you to upgrade the hardware if you want to start living life 2020, fifth dimension.
I love it.
So, Risha, just to answer, I would say consistency, and healing. Make sure that you are taking responsibility for your healing. Make sure that you are investing your time, energy, money in leveling up, rather than trying to stay the way that you are and spending time, energy, money to level up. Become intentional about how, when, and where you are investing in yourself and in your vision versus spending time, energy, money on your vision, on your purpose.
I love that. And again, Russia, the fact that you're even asking the question and the fact that you even listened to this entire conversation, it obviously matters to you to just become more conscious, more aware of who you truly are. And that is the most important first step for every single one of us, because from then on, it is a forever thing. Like it's just being open and knowing that the possibility of the new consciousness, just like, I'm sure you just had a couple light bulb moments with what Anastasia just shared. I'll give you another one. When it comes to like the grind and how the language, why that, doesn't resonate. Because there's teachers out there, or people out there that are saying, regardless of what your vibe is in the moment, just go put in a 16-hour day and you'll get to your goals. Like just go hustle. Just go work. It's just like, it's like the make it happen like mentality, which I'm not telling you out there's anything wrong with that, but just know that a person that first focuses on, being in alignment with who they truly are, being connected, like you may still choose to put in 16 hours, but it's going to be so in the flow where you look at the clock and you're like, damn, I've been doing this all day and I've gotten so much done, but you're just still, now it's like, okay, let me rest. Like you could just listen to your spirit and decide when you want to put in work, but you're so much more effective when you have the power of the universe, like when you're being that power in which all of us truly are. When you're working in that energy, you're so much more effective than someone that is just, oh my gosh, I got to get this done. And like, no, get away from me. I don't have time to deal with you right now. I got to do that. That's night and day. Like you have so much more access to synchronicities, like people that will just show up to where it's like, yeah, I could be, in the flow and doing my work for the day. And then all of a sudden I get a message from someone that takes my vision like light years forward. I didn't even need to like physically be doing anything. It just like comes to me. So we're just in alignment with, you're on the path. Like it is the best analogy that I can give. It's like in the moments that we're connecting, we're being who we truly are, the path from where we are right now to wherever it is that we're going is just lit up and you're on it. Like you're doing what you can do with what you have from where you are. That's like all that any of us can do is do what you can do with what you have from where you are and choose what energy you're going to do it in. So if you do it in the energy of connection, just know that you're going down the path and all the people, places, circumstances, ideas will be drawn to you along that path. You don't need to know all of them right now. None of us will, don't need to. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, like I'm in the flow, like I'm on this path and manifestation of something that I wanted, relationship, career goal, health goal, whatever it is, and you're still on the path because there's now new things that you want to be, do, and have, and it's just a never-ending journey of consciousness, awareness, manifestation, fun, fulfillment, whatever it is that matters to you. The other way, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, it's just that can lead to a lot of stress, a lot of breakdown as far as physically and mentally. Like it's just not. It's a different journey. That's a just. I'm gonna do whatever it is. I'm gonna hack down the trees on the path. I'm gonna do whatever I need.
And potentially sacrifice. If your whole pursuit becomes about the outcome, the goal, you could potentially be sacrificing other areas of your life where you could be in alignment, right? So growing in balance. And I would be just basically what Noelle said. I think have a vision, have your lighthouse in the dark. Just know where that lighthouse is. You don't need to have the road figured out between you and that lighthouse. Follow the breadcrumbs, right? Because life unfolds to you and through. Never have it all figured out, and you never need to have it all figured out. You just need a vision. You just need a lighthouse, and that is all ships ever need in order to be able to avoid land, to avoid crash. Just need a lighthouse, and follow the breadcrumbs, follow the guidance, one step at a time. You don't need to have the whole blue figured out.
I love it. I love it. This is such an awesome conversation, Anastasia. I could talk to you for hours about anything, and we could just like flow. And I'm already affirming. I want you to share with the audience anything that you want them to know, whether it just be additional streams of consciousness or anything that you're involved in that you want them to know about. Instagram is telling me we have 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining, so I'm going to give that to you, and then I'll post the replay to this on IGTV. This is an example of when you're in the flow and you're in tune, like time just goes like immediately. This is why time is an illusion and it doesn't really exist, because we've just been in now, the moment of now this whole time, and now it's like an hour's gone. So thank you guys for asking the questions, Amrusha and Dura, and anything that you want to share in this last minute of Instagram Live, and then I'll close out with Facebook and everything else in a second.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I think I think I'm going to leave you like with 3 questions that you can ask yourself, no matter what you are going through, no matter what you are experiencing. And number 1 is, what meaning am I giving to this situation, right? Because the meaning that you attach to experience is going to determine your experience, is going to determine the results, the outcome. Number 2 is, I show up in a way that serves me, in a way that serves the person that I want to be. So what meaning? How do I show up differently? How do I do it in a new way, in a better way, not my default way? And number 3 is, hand on your heart. What feels right to me? Get out of your head, get into your heart.
Oh, join us back on the computer. That's perfect. You got out all 3, though. I love it. You got out all 3. So
amazing.
We'll go back on the computer now. Continue. Facebook is still with us.
So absolutely, I would say like hand on your heart, like what feels right in my body, and pay attention to those bodily signs. Like we were talking, that your body is constantly giving you feedback, and since if the symptoms are manifesting as dis-ease and pains and aches, then there is something that is trying to draw your attention to something that you have yet to release, a belief that you are currently holding on to. And if it doesn't feel right in my heart, it doesn't matter what my brain tells me is right, what I should be doing, then it's a no. There's no gray area. And when I talk about the gray area, I'm talking about gray matter. There's no gray matter in truth. It's a hell yes or a hell no. It's a yes in my heart or a no in my gut. Like I can feel those answers. I don't need to weigh the pros and cons. I don't need to ask anybody else's opinion, anybody else's advice. The answers lie within me at all times.
That's so important. What Anastasia, like, I highly recommend rewinding and listening to that again, that last segment, because as we get to the point where we can trust the answers coming from within to make our decisions in life, life becomes so much easier to where we just tune in Like we just know, okay, yeah, this is something that I'm interested in. Like for me, if I'm even curious to go experience a life experience, like if there's anything pulling me towards it, I go experience it because I take that as the next synchronicity, because everything is that I'm here to experience that will continue my life going in this direction, or maybe I needed to take this and continue my life going in this direction. Either way, I'm going to have that life experience. It's going to serve me every single time. And if it's something that I'm like, that doesn't sound like something that I want to do, I don't question it at all. Like it's not, I only do things that I can fully put. And a side note out there, if you do choose to go do anything because you chose it, and we live in a free world, like if you're watching this on the internet right now, you're free. Like you can make choices however you want. So if you're going to take your physical body anywhere, I highly recommend you bring your full self, the full version of you with you, and be totally present to really see what the experience can be. There's no use in taking your physical body somewhere, but your mind is like, oh, I wish I would have done this, or I should be doing this. Like I had all this work to do. Now you're not. There's nothing positive for you there because you're not even getting the life experience, and it's just you're not. I highly recommend being present when you go anywhere. It's like best advice I can give when it comes to making decisions, and to be able to listen, like Anastasia said, so that you can make the decision that's best for you.
Yeah, show up 100% in anything that you do. Like, give it your all. If you're not there 100%, like you said before, if you're not 100%, you're not going to get 100% of the return of your investment of time, energy, money. Like, whatever you decide to do, be a man or woman of your word and show up. Show up there ready and willing with an open heart and open hand to be present.
Absolutely. There's so many times in my life that I just was enjoying the moment wherever I was, whatever I was doing, and it led to either a good idea or meeting someone that played a significant part in my journey, whether it was just a lot of enjoyment for that day or for a few days, or a friendship or a business partnership or an intimate relationship, or like it can happen anytime, anywhere if we're open to it and our full self is there. When it won't likely happen is if you take your physical body somewhere and you're just like in your head thinking about like, oh, I got to do all this stuff, or dreading the past. And we've all been there. There just aren't the times where you're going to have those awesome synchronicities where you're like, this has just changed my life. Like you're more a match to synchronicities where it's like not so pleasant. And it's just part of the human experience as well. It's all good either way. But if you're mindful of it, you can experience more of what you'd like to experience out there, whatever that is. So.
Absolutely. You can become a co-creator, a co-designer of your life, of your experiences. And that is so much more empowering than just being in the audience of this world of your life. You can become the star of your life and the co-creator, co-designer of it.
I love it. Such an awesome conversation. My goodness, Anastasia, we dropped some very. I mean, we knew it would be. Like me and Anastasia had to decide not to have a pre-conversation, like because. This stuff would start coming out. I already knew like this stuff would start coming out, and I'm like, I want this recorded. So it's just more in alignment for me to allow it to come out as it wants to come out, and it be recorded and shared, and just I knew it would be more impactful this way. So now that we're connected, we can have as many conversations and co-creations as we want, and I'm affirming that there will definitely be more, because I love your energy and what you're sharing, and it's just awesome how we didn't even know each other existed, a few weeks ago, and now, being able to co-create this and, whatever else, comes from here is I'm definitely excited about it. You guys can find Anastasia. I'll put all of her links here, but you can share anything that you want to share, that you want the audience to know about that you're doing right now, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I kind of set the intention before we met up that I would give something to your audience, and divine inspiration has literally just struck me now. I will be gifting a Universal Abundance Code meditation to anyone that wants it. Noelle will put up the link for that. So that is just to help you activate your abundance, your receiving energy, because the only reason we don't receive is because we block ourselves from receiving. So yeah, that is a little gift that I'd love to give your audience and to you, Noelle.
I receive it, and I'm excited for it, and excited for you guys to experience it as well. And I like the name of it, Universal Abundance. Since that is what the universe told me, Noelle, this is what you want to see in the world more than anything, is for everybody to be conscious and everybody to have an abundance of everything that matters to them. And since that's the desire that I have, and that's the that's the possibility that I know exists for all of us. As long as I'm breathing, this is what I will continue to embody and continue to create. So this is another aspect of that, not only this conversation and also the meditation that Anastasia is sharing. I love it. I appreciate it. This will be housed inside of the community as well as I'll share it with everybody out there. So I love it. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, darling. I appreciate you.
So much fun. Well, you guys share. If you're watching this on Facebook right now or anything, hit the share button for sure. So it'll benefit people. Like, that's the cool thing about social media. Like, we can change someone's whole life experience, like in this moment, by just the simple click of a share button. Or for those of you guys that have been rating and reviewing the podcast, like, you're making it easier for people to find the episodes. Like, it'll pop up in their suggestions because of clicking on another podcast that is on personal growth. And now all of a sudden they're listening to this episode, and it was because you left the review. So I appreciate you guys for doing that. Leave one that says that Anastasia human was awesome. You know, I became aware of this, this, and this. I'll screenshot it and make sure I tag her and all of that. And so just rooting for everybody. We're all connected in this life. And I just highly encourage you guys, like, re-listen to this episode, apply, have awareness, consciousness, and then apply, and then practice. And then there's, you know, we're all capable of anything that we desire. And I think we've hit on that pretty strongly on this episode, which I so appreciate you for co-creating this with me, Anastasia. You're awesome. And look forward to co-creating with you here more in the future whenever the timing is right. So awesome. All right, you guys, we'll talk to you soon on another episode. Have a beautiful day. I'm going to stop the stream and I'm going to say bye to you, Anastasia. This was so much fun. Streaming stopped.